Recognizing hazardous materials. Learn to recognize shipments of hazardous materials. To find out if the shipment includes hazardous materials, look at the shipping paperwork. Does it have an entry with a proper shipping name, hazard class, and an identification number? A highlighted entry, or one with an X or an RQ in the hazardous materials column. One clue suggesting hazardous materials. Other clues suggesting hazardous materials. What business is the shipper in? A paint dealer, chemical supplier, scientific supply house, pest control or agriculture supplier, explosive munitions or fireworks dealer. Are there tanks with diamond labels or placards on the premises? What type of package is being shipped? Cylinders and drums are often used for hazardous material shipments. Is a hazard class label proper shipping name or identification number on the package? Are there any handling precautions? Hazardous waste manifest. When transporting hazardous waste, you must sign by and carry a uniform hazardous waste manifest. The name and EPA registration number of the shippers, carriers, and destinations must appear on the manifest. Shippers must prepare, date, and sign by hand the manifest. Treat the manifest as a shipping paper when transporting the waste. Only give the waste shipment to another registered carrier or disposal treatment facility. Each carrier transporting the shipment must sign by hand the manifest. After you deliver the shipment, keep your copy of the manifest. Each copy must have all the signatures and dates, including those of all the persons whom delivered the waste. Placarding. Attach the appropriate placard to the vehicle before you drive it. You are only allowed to move an improperly placed vehicle during an emergency or in order to protect life or property. Placards must appear on both ends of the vehicle. Each placard must be easily seen from the direction it faces, placed so the words, numbers, and levels are read from left to right. At least 3 inches away from any other markings. Kept clear of attachments or devices such as ladders, doors, and tarpaulins. Keep clean and undamaged so the color format and message are easily seen. Be affixed to a background of contrasting color. The use of "drive safely" and other slogans is prohibited. The front placards may be on the front of the tractor or the front of the trailer. To decide which placard to use, you need to know the hazard class of the material, the amount of hazard materials shipped, and the total weight of all classes of hazardous materials in your vehicle. Placard tables. There are 2 placard tables, Table 1 and Table 2. Table 1 materials must be placarded whenever any amount is transported. Except for bulk packaging, the hazard classes in Table 2 need placards only if the total amount transported is 101 pounds or more, including the packaging. Add the amount from all the shipping papers for all the Table 2 products you have on board. See Figure 9.8. So there's an example of placard 1. You may use dangerous placards instead of separate placards for each Table 2 hazard when you have 1,001 pounds or more of 2 of the Table 2 hazard classes, requiring different placards, and you have not loaded 2,205 pounds or more of any Table 2 class materials at any one place. You must use a specific placard for this material. The dangerous placard is an option, not a requirement. You can always placard for the material. If the words "inhalation hazard" are on the shipping papers or package, you must display "poisonous gas" or "poisonous inhalation" placard in addition to any other placards needed by the product's hazard class. The 1,000-pound exception does not apply to these materials. Materials with a secondary hazard or danger when wet must display the dangerous when wet placard in addition to any other placard needed by the product's hazard class. The 1,000-pound exception to placarding does not apply to these materials. So it'd be a good idea to come here and look at figure 9.7, which is placard table 1, and 9.8, which is placard table 2. It does not look like it is self-explanatory. Placards used to identify the primary or subsidiary hazard class of a material must have the hazard class or division number displayed in the lower corner of the placard. Permanently affixed subsidiary hazard placards without the hazard class number may be used as long as they stay within color specifications. Placards may be displayed for hazardous materials even if not required, so long as the placard identifies the hazards of the material being transported. Bulk packaging is a single container with a capacity greater than 119 pounds. A bulk package in a vehicle transporting a bulk package must be placarded, even if it only has the residue of a hazardous material. Certain bulk packages only have to be placarded on two sides of or may display labels. All other bulk packages must be placarded on all four sides. Subsections 9.1, 9.2, and 9.3 test your knowledge. Shippers package in order to fill in the blank. The materials. Identify the risk of the materials. Driver placard their vehicle to what three things do you need to know to decide which placard, if any, you need? A placard material identification number must appear on the blank or on the blank. The identification number must also appear on the cargo tanks and other bulk packaging. Where must you keep shipping papers describing hazardous materials? These questions may be on your test. If you can't answer them, reread sections 9.1, 9.2, and 9.3. Okay. 9.4, loading and unloading. Do all you can to protect containers of hazardous materials. Do not use any tools. You might damage containers or other packages during loading. Don't use hooks. General loading requirements. Before loading or unloading, set the parking brake. Make sure the vehicle will not move. Many products become more hazardous when exposed to heat. Load hazardous materials away from heat sources. Watch for signs of leaking or damaged containers. Leaks spell trouble. Do not transport leaking packages. Depending on the material, your truck, and others could be in danger. It is illegal to move a vehicle with leaking hazardous materials. Containers of hazardous materials must be braced to prevent movement of the packages during transport. No smoking. When loading and unloading hazardous materials, keep fire away. Don't let people smoke nearby. Never smoke around Class 1 explosives, Class 2.1 flammable gas, Class 3 flammable liquids, Class 4 flammable solids, or Class 5 oxidizers. Secure against movement. Brace containers so they will not fall, slide, or bounce around during transport. Be very careful when loading containers that have valves and other fittings. All hazardous material packages must be secured during transportation. After loading, do not open any package during your trip. Never transfer hazardous materials from one package to another while in transit. You may empty a cargo tank, but do not empty any other packages while it is on the vehicle. Cargo heater rules. There are special cargo heater rules for loading. Class 1 explosives, Class 2.1 flammable gas, and Class 3 flammable liquids. The rules usually forbid the use of cargo heaters, including automatic cargo heater air conditioner units. Unless you have read all of the related rules, do not load above products in the cargo space that has a heater. Use the closed cargo space. Use closed cargo space. You cannot have overhang or tailgate loads of Class 1's explosives, Class 4 flammable solids, or Class 5 oxidizers. You must load these hazardous materials into a closed cargo space unless all packages are fire and water resistance, covered with a fire and water resistant tarp. And precautions for specific hazard. Class 1 explosive materials. Turn your engine off before loading and unloading any explosives, then check the cargo space. You must disable cargo heaters, disconnect heater power source, and drain heater fuel tanks. Make sure there are no sharp points that might damage cargo. Look for bolts, screws, nails, broken side panels, and broken floorboards. Use a floor lining with division 1.1, 1.2, and 1.3. The floors must be tight, and the liners must be either non-metallic material or non-ferrous metal. Non-ferrous metals are any metals that does not contain iron or iron alloys. Use extra care to protect explosives. Never use hooks or other metal tools. Never drop, throw, or roll packages. Protect explosive packages from other cargo that might cause damage. Do not transfer a Division 1.1, 1.2, or 1.3 from one vehicle to another on a public roadway except in an emergency. If safety requires an emergency transfer, set out red warning reflector flags or electric lanterns. You must warn others on the road. Never transport damaged packages of explosives. Do not take a package that shows any dampness or oily stains. Do not transport Division 1.1 or 1.2 in vehicle combinations. Do not transport Division 1.1 or 1.2 in vehicle combinations if there is a mark or a placard cargo tank in the combination. The other vehicle in the combination contains Division 1.1 inhalation explosives, packages of Class 7 radioactive materials labeled yellow 111 or III, Division 2.3 poisonous gases has hazard zone A or B, or Division 6.1 poisonous materials hazard zone A. Hazard materials in a portable tank on a DOT specification 106A or 110A tank. Class 4 flammable solids and Class 5 oxidizers materials. Class 4 materials are solids that react, including fire and explosion, to water, heat, and air, or even react spontaneously. Class 4 and 5 materials must be completely enclosed in a vehicle or covered securely. Class 4 and 5 materials, which become unstable and dangerous when wet, must be kept dry while in transit and during loading and unloading. Materials that are subject to spontaneous combustion or heating must be in enclosed vehicles with sufficient ventilation. Class 8 corrosive materials. If loading by hand, load breakable containers of corrosive liquid one by one. Keep them right side up. Do not drop or roll the container. Load them onto even floor surface. Stock carboys only if the lower tiers can bear the weight of the upper tier safely. Do not load nitric acid above any other product. Load charged storage batteries so their liquid won't spill. Keep them right side up. Make sure other cargo won't fall against them or short circuit them. Never load corrosive liquids next to or above Division 1.4 explosive Cs, Division 4.1 flammable solids, Division 4.3 dangerous when wet, Class 5 oxidizers, Division 2.3 Zone B poisonous gases. Never load corrosive liquids with Division 1.1, 1.2, Division 1.3, 1.5 blasting agents, Division 2.3 Zone A poisonous gases, Division 4.2 spontaneously combustible materials, Division 6.1 PGI Zone A poisonous liquids. Class 2 compressed gas includes cryogenic liquids. If your vehicle doesn't have racks to hold cylinders, the cargo space floor must be flat. The cylinders must be held upright and racks attached to the vehicle or in boxes that will be keep them from turning over. Cylinders may be loaded in horizontal position, laying down, or if it is designed so the relief valve is in the vapor space. Division 2.3 poisonous gases or Division 6.1 poisonous materials. Never transport these materials in containers with interconnections. Never load a package labeled poison or poison inhalation hazard in the driver cab or sleeper or the food material for human or animal consumption. There are specific rules for loading and unloading Class 2 materials in cargo tanks. You must have special training to do this. Class 7 radioactive materials. Some packages or Class 7 radioactive materials bear a number called the transient index. The shipper labeled these packages radioactive 2 or radioactive 3 and prints the package transport index on the label. Radiation surrounds each package passed through all nearby packages. To deal with this problem, the number of packages you can load together is controlled. Their closeness to people, animals, and unexposed film is also controlled. The transport index tells the degree of control needed during transport. The total transport index of all packages in a single vehicle must not exceed 50. Table A to this section. 49 CFR 177-842 shows rules for each transport index. It shows how close you can load Class 7 radioactive materials to people, animals, or film. For example, you can't leave a package with a transport index of 1.1 within 2 feet of people or cargo space walls. So we ought to review Table 9.9. Mixed loads. Rules require some products to be loaded separately. You cannot load them together in the same cargo space. Figure 9.9 lists some examples. The regulations, the segregation table. For hazardous materials, name other materials you must be kept apart. Test your knowledge. On which hazardous class must you never smoke? Let's say 1 through 4. Which 3 hazard classes should not be loaded into a trailer that has a heater or air conditioner unit? I'd say also 1.1 through 4. Should the floor liner required for Division 1.2 and 1.3 materials be stainless steel? No, it shouldn't. At the shipper's dock, you're given a paper for 100 cartons of battery acid. You already have 100 pounds of silver cyanide on board, what precautions do you have to take? Don't take them. You don't mix an explosive with a poison. Name a hazard class that uses transport indexes to determine the amount that you can be loaded in a single vehicle. Anything in class 7 radioactive. These questions may be in your test. If you can't answer them, reread section 9.4. 9.5, bulk packaging, marking, loading, and unloading. The glossary at the end of this section gives the meaning of the word bulk. Cargo tanks are bulk packaging permanently attached to the vehicle. Cargo tanks remain on the vehicle when you load and unload them. Portable tanks are bulk packaging, which are not permanently attached to the vehicle. The product is loaded or unloaded while the portable tanks are off the vehicle. Portable tanks are then put on the vehicle for transportation. There are many types of cargo tanks in use. The most common cargo tanks are MC306 for liquids and MC331 for gases. Markings. You must display the identification number of hazardous materials in portable tanks and cargo tanks and other bulk packaging such as dump trucks. Identification numbers are in the column 4 of the hazardous materials table. The rules require black 100 millimeter or 3.9 inches numbers on orange panels, placards, or a white diamond-shaped background if no placards are required. Specific cargo tanks must show retest date markings. Portable tanks must also show the lessee or owner's name. They must also display the shipping name of the contents on 2 opposing sides. The letters of the shipping name must be at least 2 inches tall on portable tanks with capacities of more than 1,000 gallons and 1 inch tall of portable tanks for less than 1,000 gallons. So 2 inches tall for over 1,000, 1 inch for less than 1,000. The identification number must appear on each side and each end of the portable tank or other bulk packaging that holds 1,000 gallons or more and on 2 opposing sides. If the portable tank holds less than 1,000 gallons, the identification numbers must still be visible when the identification number must appear on each side and each end of a portable tank or other bulk packaging that holds 1,000 gallons or more, and on 2 opposing sides if the portable tank holds less than 1,000 gallons. The identification number must still be visible when the portable tank is on the motor vehicle. If they are not visible, they must display the identification number on both sides and ends of the motor vehicle. Immediate bulk containers, IBCs, are bulk packages, but are not required to have the owner's name and shipping name. Tank loading. The person in charge of loading and unloading a cargo tank must be sure a qualified person is always watching. This person watching the load or unloading must be alert, must have a clear view of the cargo tank, must be within 25 feet of the tank, know the hazards of the materials involved, know the procedures to follow in an emergency, be authorized to move the cargo tank and be able to do so. There are special attendance rules for cargo tanks transporting propane and anhydrous ammonia. Close all manholes and valves before moving a tank of hazardous materials, no matter how small the amount is in the tank or how short the distance. Manholes and valves must be closed to prevent leaks. It is illegal to move a cargo tank with open valves or covers unless it is empty, according to 4.9 CFR 173.29. Flammable liquids. Turn off your engine before loading or unloading any flammable liquids. Only run the engine if needed to operate a pump. Ground a cargo tank correctly before filling it through an open fill hole. Ground the tank before opening the fill hole. And maintain the ground until after closing the filling hole. Compressed gas. Keep liquid discharge valves on a compressed gas tank closed except when loading and unloading. Unless the engine runs a pump for product transfer, turn it off when loading or unloading. If you use the engine, turn it off after the product transfer. Before you unhook the hoses, if you use the engine, turn it off after product transfer before unhooking the hoses. Unhook all loading and unloading connections before coupling or uncoupling or moving a cargo tank. Always chock trailers and semis to prevent motion when uncoupling from powered units. Section 9.5, test your knowledge. What are cargo tanks? How is a portable tank different from a cargo tank? And your engine runs a pump used during delivery of compressed gas. Should you turn off the engine before or after unhooking the hoses? So, before you unhook the hoses, obviously. These questions may be on your test. If you can't answer them all, reread section 9.5. Section 9.6, hazardous materials, driving and parking rules.